Imagine thinking your network is totally secure because you locked down the perimeter, only to realize you left the front door wide open to uninspected traffic. That is the exact trap network professionals fall into on the JN0-336 exam and, well, in the real world. Today we are tackling some seriously practical stuff, things like configuring SSL and forward proxies, setting up chassis clusters, Junos Space Security Director discovery, and identity management. Let's jump right into some real problems so you can see how these topics get tested.
Sounds great. Let's start with setting up an SSL proxy on an SRX device. Oh man, I see engineers fall into a massive trap here constantly because, it is a firewall setup, so familiarity bias kicks in. They assume you just reference the proxy profile in the security zone.
Right, like that classic perimeter defense mindset. But you don't just unlock the perimeter.
No, exactly, you don't.
You actually have to enable layer 7 services in the security policy itself and reference the SSL proxy profile right there. Think of it like a nightclub.
Okay, a nightclub, I like that.
Yeah, the security zone is just the velvet rope outside. But those layer 7 services, they act as the bouncer, actively checking IDs right on the dance floor.
That is a great way to put it. Without associating it with a policy and, turning on that layer 7 inspection, the traffic just passes by uninspected.
Which defeats the whole purpose.
Exactly. People also want to enable the application level gateway, the ALG, just out of habit when configuring the proxy feature. But for this specific setup, it is irrelevant.
Right, so we eliminate ALG.
Yeah. The absolute must-haves are creating that SSL proxy profile and associating it with the security policy.
Spot on. And you don't need an SSL application object either. So, okay, we've got our traffic actively inspected now, but how does the SRX handle external servers when you were configuring a forward proxy?
This is a fun one.
Right. Like what would happen if you just configured it to forward the original server certificate straight to the client?
Well, in a real-world network pipeline, you would expect a proxy to just pass things along, right? That is what a lot of people guess on the exam. But if you do that, the client gets a certificate mismatch.
Exactly. It actually uses the Manage SRX as a Trusted Certificate Authority, or CA, and it appears as a client to the destination servers.
Right. It intercepts it.
Yeah. Think of it like a personal shopper. The proxy is buying on your behalf, so it appears as a client to the store.
Gotcha.
Then it uses a trusted corporate card, the Trusted CA, to generate a brand new receipt for you, rather than just handing over the store's original receipt.
That makes total sense. It has to intercept and resign the session.
Exactly. So we have proxies acting as personal shoppers doing all this deep inspection. But all that heavy lifting puts a massive load on the hardware.
Oh, 100%. If that box goes down, your whole network goes dark.
Which brings us to chassis clusters and high availability. If you are studying for this exam, you have probably stared at those redundancy group questions using Ethernet interfaces.
Oh yeah, people obsess over the high availability timers here. They think setting the heartbeat interval is the very first step.
Wait, let me think about this. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That is how nodes know if the other one is alive.
It is a huge cognitive anchor, for sure, but you cannot check the heartbeat of a cluster that doesn't physically exist yet.
Oh, wow, right.
Yeah, the system needs to know which literal cables are part of the redundancy group before it cares about how often they ping each other.
That is a trick question, then.
Totally. You have to assign a physical interface from each node to the redundant Ethernet interface, the REIT0, and define the number of REIT interfaces under the chassis cluster hierarchy first.
The physical realities always come before the timers.
Yeah.
All right, so our physical cluster is wired and up. Now we need to manage it centrally using Junos Space Security Director.
Right.
When you're doing device discovery, the system obviously connects using SSH, and it imports the active config and device status.
Right, and you can instantly eliminate some of the distractors they throw at you on the exam. Imagine the IT panic if Discovery just randomly rebooted production firewalls.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Or just started adding local super user accounts mid-discovery. Not going to happen.
Okay, but here's the tricky scenario. What if that SRX device cannot be onboarded to Security Director? What areas should you review?
Well, if Discovery is blocked, a lot of engineers immediately assume active security policies are dropping the traffic, or, maybe there is a serial number mismatch.
Another classic trap. It is usually just basic connectivity. You just need to check the SSH port number, the authentication credentials, and the IP address.
Just the basics.
Yeah, active policies do not normally prevent that initial handshake.
Good to keep in mind. And managing all these devices naturally leads to securing the network based on who is actually using it.
Right. User identity information. Imagine you are at a mid-sized sauce company. You are dealing with Active Directory all day. So if you want to use identity info to secure the network, you might think you must add user accounts to the Active Directory domain users group.
Right, people get trapped by that specific vendor example,
Yeah.
but vendor-specific AD groups are not mandatory.
Oh, they aren't.
No, what you actually must perform is creating security policies with user identity config and configuring an identity provider.
Got it.
You don't even need to add an extra user identity feature license.
Exactly. Which brings us to JIMS, the Juniper Identity Management Service. Based on everything we just discussed, what is its actual function?
Well, some folks see the word security and assume it is logging malicious code or maybe encrypting network data traffic.
Right. But it is definitely not a malware logger or an encryption tool. Its function is maintaining a centralized authentication table.
Spot on. Think of JIMS as the VIP master guest list for the whole network.
That's all the key points we shared for the JN0-336 exam today. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, subscribe and leave us a comment.